All right, let's take some attendance. So who do we got here? We got Link. We got Andy. We got Arkisti. We got Jonathan. We got Tom. We got NF Thinker. We got Gross. We got Winverse. We got Renus. We got Coffee Crusher. We got Shamjan. And we got Umski. Nice. Good turnout today. I heard a great joke actually related to someone's name here, but it's in French, so maybe it's not so great actually now that I think about it. All right. We'll move on from there. I won't say the joke because it won't make any sense in English. All right, moving in. So we got our attendance, our lag metrics. So we had $61 of spend last week, up to 2,800 overall. So still small potatoes, but that's why we're talking about moving to public beta. So we'll talk about it a little bit more further down. On the lead net metric side, 1 new user, 2 communities deployed, although we do have some in the works. 3 returning users. This is something we need to work on as well. And 0 new money in the multi-sig, although we will have some Gitcoin money coming to us pretty soon. In terms of team-wide announcements, we are almost ready for a public beta. I'd hope to be ready for this meeting, but there is some code that I threw in yesterday that kind of not ruined, but it updated some of the stuff Tom did and let's say broke it a little bit. So I just need to update that, which I hope to plan on having completed today. And then I think that there's nothing really stopping us from a product perspective to going public beta. What do you think, Tom?
I was just going to say, you got to break it to fix it. And I think you're right. We're just about there.
So this week, we should be able to go to public beta. And, we've been soft launched this whole time. So it doesn't change a lot from the product perspective, but I think it may change other things. So let's talk about that a little bit further down. New member intros, no new members I see here today. So we'll just skip over that and go straight down into our milestones. From the POC, we have launched a POC to the public. So once we do this, we're going to change this milestone. But we'll look at that a little bit further down. But we are almost ready for public beta. What we said we needed for public beta is 50 users. So we got 40 of those 50 users. Major updates to UI and UX has made onboard and load pretty good. In general, people are able to onboard and load new things. So you can even see it in here in the dashboard. So you can see this new user loaded $100 onto their account. So in general, people are able to load, people are able to spend, and so we are doing not bad on that. Partial rewards flow. So we do need tightening up on this. There is a happy path on the rewards flow, but in general, stuff around how our wallets are connected and different kinds of wallet providers are. We need to take a closer look at that, especially since our goal is to tighten the UX flow between Web3 and the real world. So that's something that we just need to make sure works as well as our other flows. And it's worth taking a look at, even though users are only going to do it like max once a month. Definitely something that we need to take a look at. We also want a repeatable way to gather feedback. We're a small team. And so what we really need to do, we don't always have the resources of a larger team. And what that means is that we really need to look at repeatable ways to get feedback from our users. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we're going to end up in a situation where we don't have our hands on the pulse. So we had some partial things on this. We got an email list. We tried to gather some feedback. We didn't get much on here. Let's just say we need to do some more work on that. And then finally get a system usability score. Not done. In fact, we haven't really even tried on this. System usability score is essentially an industry standard measure of how easy your product is to use. And if you get above, I think it's above 76 or something, you're kind of best in class. So not bad. Would like to get there, but we don't even know where we're at. We've been not looking for this yet. So anyways, even so, there's nothing here that's really blocking us from going public, at least in terms of adding a couple communities to try to start testing our go-to market. Does that make sense?
Yep, for me.
And a thinker? Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Cool. Our next milestone after we go public is to get 1,000 weekly transacting users. Now, it says on our Asana 1,000 daily transacting users. I didn't really have a great way to look at that, right? And so this is our 7 days. If we can get this to unique users, basically we want this to be 1,000 on the 7-day line. So you can kind of see it here. What we really want is in the 7-day line for us to have 1,000 unique users. And to do that, we're going to need to do some things really. It's going to require some new features, but really our go-to-market hypothesis right now is around communities. So really it's going to be about adding new communities. And to add each of these communities, there's going to be different kinds of things we'll need to do. Some will require new features. Some will require different kinds of communication. Some will require us updating our support site. Some will require us creating new channels. So I'll share that link. I'll share a link with you another time, Chandran. But I think you can just like search for on system usability score. And where's a good one? Let's take a look here. Usability Geek. This guy's usually pretty good. Measuring You is what I typically will use. So here's Measuring You. I'll give you this link. So that's the one I use. But yeah, you can just kind of look at it and see what it is. Yeah, I'll drop you these 2 links. Why not? This Usability Geek guy is pretty good too. Anyways, we don't know is the essential thing. What's going to get us to 1,000? Okay, this is what we call building for fit. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't know if you guys remember that product diagram that I showed you, but we're going to look at it next week. Actually, I forgot to mention this in the All Team projects. Next week, I would really like for us to take it as a retrospective. Retrospective next week. Links will create the meeting minutes today. So in that retrospective, which you can probably see if we look at it like this, there's a little diagram, retrospective, like a text diagram here, and you can see right here, validation, build for launch, build for fit, right? And so we were really at the end of this build for launch phase, and next up is build for fit. So getting to that 1,000 weekly transaction users is really around building for fit, okay? So that is what we really need to figure out in the next phase. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we're aiming to get 1,000 weekly transacting users?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yep, it does. If we get to 1,000 weekly, I will make you that daily line.
Yeah, there we go. We get to 1,000 weekly, we get to the daily, and we can move on from there as well. But I think
New incentives.
Yeah, the key for us is that we don't know what's going to get us to 1,000, and we're going to have to, on a week-to-week basis, get information. Like we're going to have some sort of sensing ability, getting information from our users and our analytics and stuff, and making hypotheses on what the next thing is that's going to get those users coming back. There's a couple things we understand, we think we need, but it's not 100%. So there's that, getting those users to come back, and then as well getting new users. So as we add new communities, what does that mean? I'll give you an example. I spoke to a bunch of communities at Farcaster who are using this product called Hypersub. And Hypersub is basically just like a way that you can subscribe on a monthly basis to a creator, and they will send you kind of their NFT drops whenever they make them. So for us to get those communities on there, they basically said, these creators basically said, hey, yeah, we would love for this to happen if people could pay for our Hypersubs using this. So I talked to the person who made Hypersub, and they were like, yeah, all you have to do is send some ETH to this address, and you can say who has that, and you can buy a Hypersub on behalf of someone. So that might be a feature that we might do. I don't know if we'll do it or not, but that would unlock, let's say 30 communities that are very heavy with Farcaster people. Okay, and that is one hypothesis. If we do this feature, then we will get these communities on board, and if we get these communities on board, they will bring a lot of high quality users with them. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to have to be reasoning out as a team as we move forward. Make sense? All right. Well, silence is not acceptance, but I'm going to move to the next slide on our content funnel. Rainis and Coffee Crusher, how's this going?
Yes, we have a very interesting idea that was born on Monday and has started formalizing from yesterday. We talked for like 1 hour with Coffee, Drost, and NF Thinker, and we are looking into a community-focused podcast. Maybe Coffee, you want to tell more, or we have Drost and NF here as well. Maybe you guys can share your opinions as well on this. I like it. I like this idea a lot.
GM. So we're kind of thinking it's still in the development stages. We haven't sort of agreed if we are going to do this, but basically we met yesterday. I'm going to create a doc that will sort of put some more, meat to thought down on paper, and then we'll present it probably next week to the rest of the team, the bCard team. But it's really around finding and talking to interesting communities, and it can be everything from what we think is Web3 communities to non-traditional, what I mean by non-traditional, Web 2 type communities. And it's just how they build it, what's interesting about it, and the people that are involved in it.
Nice.
I love the idea. We do need to finalize some things. There's a doc started, and we're going to talk about things like sustainability and the things that that Coffee Crusher was mentioning there. Drost and I could be sort of co-hosts and just like give a voice to communities. So yeah, potentially going to happen. We shall see. And then once we have a document sorted out, we'll put it to the community for a vote to see whether or not everybody supports our efforts.
Sweet. Yeah, I think just having stuff around community.
Kind of quiet there. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lynx.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just I made some notes from yesterday just along those lines that potentially what we can address there in the dealing with communities, the pain points, new or smaller communities that are starting to get traction, talking with them, what's working, what's not, and existing communities, what's working, kind of stuff like that. So we kind of bat around things like that. One other thing I wanted to touch on just briefly, I just got a note this morning related to some money that's available for creators and so on. And this is specifically related to building community. And this has to do with, you guys may be familiar with Thrive, that we had worked with a little bit with Bankless Rewards kind of earlier. Was that this year? Was it no, that was last year. God, that was a year and a half ago now already. But anyway, they're starting to launch some things. So there's some money available for community development. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that just came up.
Well, yeah, there's any kind of thing, like if we're doing a podcast specifically, there's lots of ways we can hook into some existing ecosystems and get some funding and some reach. For instance, GM Farcaster, which is like a podcast on Farcaster, is like trying to start a podcast network. So that could be a way for us to get some reach. Of course, Crypto Sapiens also is a podcast network, so we could try to get some reach through there. If we are as well interviewing certain kinds of communities, like for instance, if we're interviewing people from Farcaster communities, we could get money from Nouns and Purple and all these kinds of things. All this to say that as soon as we start, and if we're minting these podcasts, we can start using Enjoy tips as well, of which I have a ton for some reason. So I can start tipping our creators on Enjoy. Yes, all this to say that there's lots that we could do around this, and I think it's great if we're able to get people going. Another thing that I would say around a community-focused podcast, I think just in general, any kind of community-related, there's a lot of communities that exist, and it feels like the ones that are coming out right now are kind of coming into the same, running into the same mistakes that other communities made in the last cycle. And so if we have a podcast which kind of documents that stuff, it's going to help potentially all communities in the future. Anyways, really great idea. So that's cool. Anything else related to our content funnel?
One of the other one of the other conversations that Rainus and I had on Monday, it's our standing Monday call, is just sort of like identifying what additional content we need to do for when we're ready for public beta push.
Yeah, so we can discuss that, I guess, a little bit further down. Definitely, there's some additional stuff. What do we need for public beta? Yes. Okay. All right. We have set up our community funnel. So I put this in. The Farcaster community seems pretty bullish on bCard. We spoke with Gloom in the past, and they were very interested. I met with someone who works with Enjoy, Thank You bCard, and TX1000, which is also called the Ham coin. And they're also very interested in running like a pilot. I'm going to set up a meet with you, NF Thinker, because I think that they're kind of like doing a lot of the coding for some of the infrastructure around these communities. And so this would just be another thing that they can add to the potential package. Hire and DGen are also probably the most popular and have a great brand affinity with us. And if Thinker you as well, we're saying DGen DAO is starting to offer grants, and you have a Haberdasher token, which is pretty cool. And I think that like we could release these cards permissionlessly. The one thing is we really need to ensure that they were not securities before we kind of release any of these. But yeah, so I just at FarCon there was a lot of let's say interest when people understood what we were trying to do. Yeah, what else, NF Thinker?
No, I really love the connection with TX1000, Enjoy. That's a great one. I mean, Enjoy is essentially Seed Club, so there's a lot of potential opportunity there in the future. Yeah, that whole Farcaster thing seems like it's exactly where we need to be. So I implore everybody in this meeting to, if you haven't set one up, set up your Farcaster account, engage, and just spread the word over there, because that's how we're going to find more traction with the builders who can help make this happen. In terms of community funnel, so I did, speaking of the Howey test, I did integrate those questions into the form. I'll just grab that form here and I'll chuck it in. And then share, grab that here, copy. This will be sort of the top of funnel for our community integrations. The next step for that will be after somebody fills out this form, we'll then have to go through and determine suitability. If they are, we might have to add in some values questions within this top of funnel as well, just to make sure that we can filter out any bad actors. I don't know that that's going to be as important right now as it is in the future, but the next step currently in this funnel would be to determine suitability. Are they mission, vision, value aligned in some way, shape, or form? Do they not tick any of the boxes that we don't want to include ourselves with? One being, is your token a security? And when I ask those questions, I flat out ask, do you think your token is a security? If they said yes, I said they should consider using a different token. That will mean that we won't be able to onboard their token to our rewards. Doesn't mean we won't be able to partner with them, because if they decide to direct money to a treasury, then we won't be issuing their rewards token and we won't be at fault at all. So additional to determining if they're a good fit or not, we then also need to go in and get a few more questions answered from them, such as what's the treasury address that you want your rewards to, finalize some things. probably we will have to have some sort of terms sheet that we both sign, or even if we don't sign it, we just send it to them and say, by becoming an affinity partner, you hereby agree to these terms. Now, every community is going to be slightly different. I did a sheet for Travel Swap, which is in the partnerships. I'm just going to grab that link here, add that in, something like this. And what that's going to do, this is the Travel Swap agreement, which sets out what is revenue, how can you get revenue, what are the rewards, what do we expect from you, what do you expect from us. That's the type of thing that we're going to need. So we can set up a basic template, adjust that depending on what type of partner they are. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much it on that side of things. Partner funnel, I also did reach out to Dawufi, like you mentioned. So I'll see if he can help with any of that sort of partnership funnel, trying to get new partners involved and growth, etc.
Yeah, I think so I talked to him briefly and he was kind of like, I'm doing some other things right now. I think the way for us to attract people like him is to just do some high profile stuff.
Yeah, and I said to him basically, well, first of all, he said he's a big Lynx fan, so congrats. And then he said he's a fan of bCard. And I just asked, would you be interested in giving me feedback on some of the marketing and growth ideas? And we'll just start from there. Get his opinion, and then if he wants to get more involved, he can.
Cool, sounds good. The Travel Shop, I think you're also doing something with Origin Dollar DAO right now?
Yeah, so Origin Dollar DAO, we've gotten to the point where we've asked for their token contract, and now we need to integrate it into the app. So Tom, I guess maybe we can continue that conversation and try and get them integrated as soon as possible. Lynx, you had mentioned that we were going to be finalizing some of this, the new community efforts today. So yeah, we can kick that off for now. But essentially, Origin Dollar DAO is ready to go. And yeah, they can be one of our first communities.
Cool. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
To get to 1K weekly transactions, Link says funding a showstopper. It is not, in fact. The reason for that is because we actually have two. Product offerings now. One is the quote-unquote free card, and this is for new communities. They can basically get onto our community card, which is just kind of a communal card. So multiple people can get this branded plastic, although in the app it will show as their community and they will get that token, but that plastic card will be our own. So we don't need to pay as much for that. Basically, we do have to pay for every card that goes out. It's about $5 per card, but we have enough to get us to, we hope, not 15,000 users, but we have to redo our cash flow. TBD, Christy and I are going to be working on a new cash flow as we go, but we have enough funds in the bank and in the multi-sig to continue on to at least a couple thousand users. I mean, certainly 1,000 users, but whether or not there'll be 1,000 weekly transacting users, we'll have to see. All right, we have raised $200,000. We have 500 in donations from Gitcoin, and at least another 1 to 2K in matching funds, hopefully more. Degen DAO is giving out grants. It could be a good partnership for us. Accelerators, we have Orange DAO now open, so this might help for us. I did meet some Orange DAO people at FarCon, so if we need any help on that, or if we need any kind of sponsors or anything, let me know. Other than that, accelerators, grants, and investment. Have not really been aiming for the investment, but if we were going to do that, we'd mainly be working on the patron flow, and so we haven't really done that yet. But yeah, we could do that in the future. We shall see. right now we're trying to make something interesting. Deployed our new brand, website, app, etc. Brett is going to be working on updating our assets for our newer brand. So he's going to be taking a look at the app, taking a look at some of our other brand assets, including our support site and other things like that, and looking at how it would look if we were using it with the new brand. So that's something to note. Bankless HQ as well is DMCAing websites. If you don't live in the States, DMCA is the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, and basically it allows, it was a really badly written law from the 2000s, which kind of helped businesses, and they basically can flag any site that's using Bankless and say, hey, that's our brand. And even if it is not actually infringing their brand, they can do that and cause the website owners to basically be on defense at that point. So they've been doing it a bunch in the last couple weeks. They hired a company to go ahead and do that. And so that company is not, let's just say they're not very subtle. They're doing this in a really, they're just doing it to sites, even the ones that include Bankless now. And so all this to say that we need probably to move our stuff over whenever we can. But yes, it's something that we're working on. And task perspective, most of our stuff is actually does not say Bankless anymore, which is a good thing. All right, our role salaries for the week. Duplicate. I actually need to do the ones from last week as well, don't I? Because I wasn't here. ISO week. What is the ISO week? Week 19. So week 19 and week 18. Week 18 and week 19. Okay, so this task isn't the same as it was before. And in fact, it's something we should discuss, but we'll discuss it another time. We'll leave it the way it is right now. So yes, I had been spending my time on bCard in the last 2 weeks. How about you, Rainus? Did you spend the time that we have agreed in the past on the last 2 weeks?
Yes, the 5 hours indeed.
Okay. And how about you, NF Thinker?
Yes, I have.
All right. And Tom?
Yes, sir.
And Coffee Crusher?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so the proposal I posted in our governance, the difference is it's going to be less around a fixed rate of bCard and bank, and more around a pool of bCard and bank for our core team members. And we may add more core team members as we go on. For instance, Blue Bear has been working with beta testers and doing support. So if we wanted Blue Bear as well to be working on this on a weekly basis, let's say like 5 hours a week or something for support and other kinds of things, rather than have more bank and bCard go out, we're thinking of maybe having a pool of this. So this was kind of quote unquote approved, but we haven't talked about it. There's some implications of this, but the intent is for us to move to a different model of compensation as we are going into launch and as we're talking about getting fiat money now. So as we're going to be starting to get revenue, we're going to be thinking about how to do that. I have some things in mind. I don't know if we'll have a chance to discuss it today, but if we do, we will definitely discuss it. Suffice to say that it's something that we want all of our contributors to be happy with, because the intent is to get people to contribute. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and we will talk about it a little bit later. Okay. So going down into our projects, Gitcoin GR20. Actually, we're just waiting on this. Promotion is done, so this can kind of go. More things in here, but in general, a lot of this is done and probably can be completed. On-chain goodies. How's this looking, NF Thinker? Have you been working on this recently?
No, I haven't been working on that in the last week, but as that when I was expecting a lot more more ETH addresses when I exported all the content from ConvertKit, and I realized that they weren't there because they hadn't been imported from the tally form. So I would say nearly 1,000 addresses. I haven't actually aggregated them yet. So we could consider that our first true 1,000 fans. We have the NFT ready to go. The only thing that's missing from that, the only thing blocking that really is now just getting a multi-sig transaction to sign me in to Manifold again. So that's going to be one of those you, me, and Sam, or you, me, and Israel Rex things where we sign 1,000 times.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna have to now that it's May, we actually have to meet for the OP to get the OP stuff from I forget what it's called, but basically for our OP grant, we need to meet as well and sign a couple transactions too. So.
Oh right, the superfluid streaming, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I knew super was in the name. Anyways, yeah, maybe we need to set up a meeting at some point this week. Okay, we have deployed our new brand. I'm gonna leave this in the milestones actually for now, because there's a couple other things we need to do, but we're mainly done. We just have a couple other things. Going down. On the blocked waiting needs feedback. Nouns card Farcaster frame. How's this going? I think Dom gave us an update.
Yeah, Dom did give us an update, and he had said by the end of we were expecting it, I think last week on Friday or Sunday, and we still haven't had it yet. So I can give him another bump. He wanted a card for the frame, and I sent him a card design for the frame. And then I didn't hear back from him, so I'll go bumping now.
Okay, great. Create a community intake form. Are you blocked on this? I feel like you're not blocked anymore.
No community intake form. Should be good to go.
Okay, cool. I will put it into this week then. All right. Claim Retro PGF3. Now it's
you
possible.
You can mark it as done. Sorry.
Oh, okay, cool. Done. Retro PGF3, I'll set up a meeting with the multi-sig to claim this and put it into our multi-sig. Nouns Prop House, we're kind of waiting on this. Now, once we get to public launch, we can think about posting a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Alliance Accelerator. Did you get a chance to sign up for this yet?
No, I did not get a chance to do that yet. So that one and the Orange DAO one are next on my list.
Awesome. Should I create an Orange DAO one here?
Yeah, it should. It might actually already exist, so maybe we could just duplicate Orange DAO.
March 2024.
Oh, that's the one.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. No, that would be the last one. So duplicate that.
Didn't get accepted. Inbox to follow up 13 days ago. I think I just resurrected this at some point. Anyways, I'll just use this one unless you want to use a different one.
Yeah, let's try and keep them in the same one if possible, and then we can track all the history of that specific application.
Okay, I'll put this one into this week as well. It looks like we have the date here. So I guess we talked about it at that ops meet 13 days ago. Okay.
Yep, end of this month.
Nice. All right, so back to all team projects, and Orange DAO is now on the list. Nice. Okay. Update website. So actually, this website is starting to get pretty important now that we're going to a public launch pretty soon. So how's this looking, Reyes?
Andy said he's going to finish the new design by the end of this week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Hey, Brett, I see that you just joined us. Are you able to take a look at Andy's design and give him some feedback and get it up to professional level?
Yeah. Yes. So I'm gonna be out though. I'm gonna be out next week though.
Okay.
Like, off grid. Is there any way we can meet up and iron it out? Not next week, but Monday of the following week, and I can jump into beast mode and kind of like polish it up and ship it by the end of like 2 weeks out? Is that too late?
It's never too late. It's the kind of the kind of mode that we're working in right now.
Okay.
It is as it is, right? And so, I mean, are you able to take a look at it, like maybe just a quick look, like not getting too deep into it? But Andy, is it ready to maybe have Brett take a quick look at it beforehand, even before he goes, and then so that just making sure that it's not completely off, so that Jonathan can maybe get started on the coding next week without being blocked. Is that something that's doable, Brett and Andy?
Yeah, Andy, are you available tomorrow? We can like have a jam session tomorrow.
Andy, you're muted. I'm not sure if you're unable to speak. Okay. I'm going to DM the two of you. Actually, better write that down just to set something up. Actually, Rainus, would you mind setting that up? Is that possible?
Yep, I can, no problem.
All right, great. And Jonathan, you have everything you need for on the coding side of things? You around, Jonathan?
Yeah, basically, yeah, I think I have everything. We were looking at the new design last week, and I think we have already started to put something up from it, but I need to check up with the crew.
Okay, sounds good. All right, yeah, so this is starting to get more important, so I'm going to put it right up here, right under the beta app, because if we want to go to public launch, the website is going to be pretty important. All right, the next brand, and Brett, you know, I keep forgetting to invite you here. I'm just going to grab your email from right now before I forget. But yeah, how's the new brand going?
It's good. I'm gonna start once I get back from Cambodia. I'm gonna start knocking out some of the app screens as well. Tom just sent over the current flow, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna kind of sync up with some of the direction that we all kind of liked last time. I'm gonna start to kind of put together a cohesive look for like a cross-platform identity, not just like the website. So that's where I'm at with that. So yeah, slow but steady on that. I'll have more in a couple weeks on that.
Sweet. All right, and I will add you to this. Expand. You know, I'm also going to add this into. I noticed you were coming to the product weekly, so I'm going to add this. We can talk about this brand stuff in the product weekly. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, everything makes sense.
All right, cool. All right, so I added it there. Oops, where did I go? All right. Cash flow for POC. Actually, I'm going to say that this is a little bit more important too. Let's stick it up here. How's this going, Arkusi?
Yeah, I was actually looking at the actual spends up to date in the multi-sig and in the Mercury account. So kind of seeing how that tracks against what the projection has. But I guess it's for discussion in ops tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks a lot. All right. Find a new on-ramp. How's this going, NF Thinker?
I did actually come across somebody at Far Away Con, who they are an on-off ramp. They do operate in the US. They are called MESO Network, MESO.network. So I've reached out to him in DMs to see if we can set up a meet. Otherwise, we spoke last week about the fees that were requested from Bridge.xyz. It was, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it was $1,500 per month as a fee. And what would happen is there would be a small fee for swapping from crypto to degen. And that would go towards our monthly fee, towards our monthly costs. And I think we calculated that it would be $600,000 per month that we would need to be swapping from crypto to fiat to be able to support that. So we would need to make the decision of whether or not we would count that as a cost and part of doing business at this point in time that would onboard enough users to get us to those 1,000 transactions per week, or whether or not it would be something that we should wait for until we have more users, more swapping, more potential revenue to cover that cost. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be diving into when I meet with Miso. I'm also going to give the Unlimit guys a ping and see how they're doing on their compliance. They said that they were hoping to have something ready by the end of this month that they could then work with us. So yeah, that's the current state of things there.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Transcendence.
Okay, so Alan shipped us a video. Rainus is working on an intro outro for the video. We need to come up with some text for the video so we can actually launch that as our announcement. Drost is working on some Foley work, which is basically sounds like footsteps and little blings and like whooshes and swooshes, etc. They also delivered an Instagram filter. It's a link. You click the link in Instagram, it brings up your camera, and then your face appears with noggles on it. So it's really super cool. What we're going to do is create a campaign around that. I'm working with our communications team to come up with a way that we can increase engagement. It's obviously done through Instagram. We'll hopefully have a lot of extra engagement on our Instagram, so we can turn that into an onboarding channel.
I also had a friend who has been working on, actually, Rainus and I met him, who's been working on taking videos and running them through AI filters just to improve the visual quality of them. So he said, hey, send me over that bunny video and I'll see what I can do, just like using the video asset. Do you think that's okay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think Transcend. I mean, maybe we could ask Alan because he wants his name on it after, producing it. So maybe he could give us a sample of what it would look like.
He wouldn't like steal the video or anything. He would he's also he is also the kind of person who would totally understand because he's an artist too, right?
Yeah, of course.
I just want
to
video with him.
Yeah, if you could, that would be great. And then I can speak to Alan and just say, hey, this is what's going to happen to the video. I mean, at the end of the day, it's
I mean, the idea would be that he would just do he would just like run it through a filter, right? It would take him basically would take his computer a couple of hours to do the rendering. Like while he's asleep, he'll do it, and then he'll send it to us, and then we could be like, "Hey, this is what we can do with the video. What does that make sense?" And then you guys can do essentially a collabo.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, cool. I will send over that over to him. Next up, travel swap. We already talked about this. I did want to add. Well, you know what? I think it's a bit more important than some of these other things. So I'll put it up here. And I did want to add community origin dollar DAO. The success criteria for this, OGV token and
OGN
origin.
Token.
It's OGN token? Okay. OGN token and origin dollar DAO are live on our app. That's basically what we're trying to get to with this, right?
Yes.
All right. Just for now, just because I wanted to leave enough time for us to talk about the, we'll go through what we shipped last week, but I want to talk about us going to public beta, if that's okay.
Good.
All right. So talk to lots of Firecaster people. I talked to Hypersub to figure out how we can integrate with their communities. It's really just a call to a contract, which is not bad. Services for meme coins. I did some other stuff that I didn't put in here. And I've talked to lots of Firecaster people at FarAwayCon. Got a new on-off ramp provided potentially. Nolan worked on a contributor onboarding framework. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. I don't see Noman here though. Okay. Anyways, is anyone working with him on this?
Yeah, I am.
Sweet. All right. And I've finalized community onboarding form. And I've created a new community slide in the deck. And FNCC attended the Let's Go Space to Shill bCard GG20 grant, which worked really well. Actually, we ended up getting like 114 people, which is pretty good. And I've started a terms and definitions page. And okay, cool. Yeah, this is on here. Might want to put it on support eventually. But that's cool. And yeah, anything else anyone shipped that they want to call out?
Shipped. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say shipped the Gitcoin sort of like, please support us email to subscribers, as well as on socials.
Nice. Tom, you got some stuff too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just reward slow refactor first pass, contract testing on staging, and the wireframe of current app shipped for break. Oh, and I guess the tail of the onboarding, give a little look over too.
All right. Anyone else have anything that they shipped? All right, I'll add my stuff a little bit later. Let's get into discussion. Only 10 minutes left, but basically, you know that we're going to public beta. We don't have rewards fully fleshed out, but we need to start testing our go-to market and communication. Something from the Lean Startup. If you aren't embarrassed about what you're launching, you launched too late. So it's just something to note. I did share this with a couple people, and a couple people did take a look, and they're actually very pleased with our onboarding as I left. So not bad in general. What else we need to think about? Our support load will get bigger, right? As we're adding more people, that's the hope. That's actually a good problem for us to have. Bugs will be discovered, and it's going to be something that we need to fix. And as a result, our release process is going to need to be a little bit tighter. We're probably going to need to add some more regression tests to ensure that what we're releasing actually makes sense. What else is going to change as we go into public beta? Will our communication change? Will our community stuff change? Will our community funnel change? Will our brand stuff change? Anything else that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I would add in there that as communities are adding themselves or filling out that form, we need some funnel observation. We need somebody monitoring funnel monitoring, I guess you could call it. We need people digesting all that intake and sort of going through and deciding whether or not a community is good for us, and then moving things on to the next step. We also need a checklist of things that we need to go through before we're actually capable of onboarding a community, like token address, how will the revenue be shared, et cetera, et cetera. We also need to think about discussions around revenue. When you say you can fund your community, people have dollar signs in their eyes. Realistically, unless they're having huge transaction volume, it's not going to be thousands of dollars. So we need to figure out a way of setting expectations and imploring people to just treat this as a sustainable cash flow. And that also then makes me realize that we need to consider, when we're looking at this value alignment, one of the things that we should probably add in there is sustainability, because we don't want to put time and effort and funds, because card issuance is funds, into a community who's not going to be able to sustain themselves. There is a trade-off. The more people that we onboard to our card, the more people that will be able to take advantage of other communities themselves. But just considering that the onboarding overhead of getting a new community in versus how sustainable do we actually think this community is. I think one of the metrics should be like, obviously we have how many community members do you have? What's our cutoff point? Is 100 people too few? are there other things that, if there was a community of 20 people, but they were all millionaires who were going to spend $1,000 a day on a debit card, would they qualify? Probably yes, but how do we then determine that value trade-off?
Good point. Okay.
I was
Anything else that we
thinking,
should be thinking about? Go ahead.
I was thinking a bit more about competitors. When I say competitors, I just mean any kind of rewards or affinity card, because there's so many out there. And if I just look at my own usage, I tend to gravitate toward the cards that give me more tangible rewards, frankly. And so I'm just wondering, how we can message that, how we can maybe position it a little differently because frankly, the rewards aren't going to be there monetarily, right? Initially, it's really more about supporting community. When you see that card in your wallet, or you see a digital wallet, it reminds you of your community and all that kind of thing. So I don't have any answers on that, but I just feel like we need a little more competitive framework, or not framework, but just understanding where we're really weak, frankly, and how we can address that in a way that maybe is meaningful to the communities that we're getting into, that may not necessarily be meaningful to outsiders, normies, that kind of thing. And I don't know that we've done a lot of that to date, and I just feel like it's something that we should probably take a deeper dive into at some point.
Yeah, I think I second that. I've been doing it myself. I found a couple of loyalty crypto type cards that have been popping up. I've been signing up for them. One of the things that I notice is, and I think we need to formalize this and have some sort of, put it down in writing and have a graph of what they offer, what's the benefits. And one of the things I notice is one's really great with customer service, which I think is really important. One of them was horrible with customer service. They both, one of them requires you have to deposit 500 USD to even get your physical card, but none of them talk about, the one thing that I keep on thinking about our card, and when we talk about communities, it's really that it's the only card that you can earn some sort of community, I'll call it token, community affiliation, and actually do something with. Because all those other cards seem to be like, they have this many benefits or this, and it's almost like it doesn't really matter what those cards are. Like, I don't see the differentiator between them. I'm signing up for them, but I'm like, okay, why would I use this card over that? And I keep on going back to what we have, and I think, but I agree with you, Dros. I think we need to sort of identify their weaknesses, their strengths, and then what we have, and that sort of really focuses our messaging around why we are different and better.
Yep, absolutely. I think positioning and differentiation is something that, we looked at it a while ago, but not recently. And I think that's something we really need to do. The truth is we can't actually afford to offer a lot of other rewards right now. The intent is for us to be able to do that in the future. And so these early users are going to be using us for a different reason than personal benefit. Ultimately, if we say like, hey, support your community and you get free Netflix, like a ton of people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's great. That's a no-brainer. But right now it's not a no-brainer. And so we can't service everyone. We really need to be trying to service the people who we can service, and then increasing that group of people over time, right? One thing I like to say is that we do have, like, every product has product market fit, but that market may be really, really small. It could just be a single user, and you have product market fit for that user, but it's not really useful to have product market fit for a single user. So we really need to understand for whom our card is valuable, and then just start to rally the faithful. Then as we add a new feature or two, or we add other kinds of things, then our circle of people for whom we can serve gets bigger, right? And so we really have to understand who we can serve now and who we can serve in the future by adding X, Y, and Z. So that's something that we're going to be working on as well.
And just to point a clarification on what I was saying there, it's like what NF was saying about being realistic about how much money is going to go back to a community if they start using the card. You know, it needs to be lots of transactions. It needs to be, you know, it's not going to be a lot of dollar value until there's a lot of volume. And so I think just being more realistic about that up front, and to me, doing some of this competitive review, it's not so much doing it as a grid comparison against everybody else and saying, oh, this is why we're better. To me, it's partly helping to surface how we can communicate more effectively what it is that we can do. And I think that helps speak to that. Anyway, that's kind of where I was coming from on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely support that. Both what both you and Coffee Crush were saying. This is why I think it's super important to have partners like TravelSwap. Even, you know, regardless of how everything goes with TravelSwap, we're in just initial talks right now. But we need to offer our card users something as an ecosystem. Eric, the founder of TravelSwap, I follow him on Twitter and he's always posting. One of the things he said earlier was, if there ever was a TravelSwap NFT, we would make sure that it came with airport lounge access. Now, that's not necessarily a promise to their community, and it's not something that we should be promising people. If you get bCard, you will get potentially this in the future. But they're the types of things that we can talk about as a community. Know that we're always looking for some new way of incentivizing their participation in the system, and then also finding those partners who can offer broad rewards beyond just travel partners. You know, there's lots of different things. The biggest issue is that we get into very localized rewards once we start looking at real world rewards. But there are some things in existence. There's a community that I spoke to in Australia who's doing this, where they offer actual point of sale discounts based on an NFT that you hold in your wallet. So these are all things that we can potentially add in the future. We just need to keep a broad horizon and an open mind about ways that we can reward people.
Yeah, and those kinds of things, I know we're a bit over, and I'll stop it here. Those kinds of things, it really helps for us to have a lot of people using the card. Because if we have people using the card, and of course it's a chicken and egg problem, how do you get people without these things? How do you get these things without people? But for companies like TravelSwap, for them, it's essentially like, oh, we want access to your audience, and we will give your audience a discount to do that, right? These are the kinds of partnerships we can bootstrap as we go. We are a bit over. I do have to run. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Public beta is a huge milestone for us. I've said in the past that I think that when we get a product out that people can use, that is really the starting point. And for us, this is really the beginning. This is the beginning for us to get something out that people can use. So let's keep at it. The next step for us is going to be turning that thing that we get out for people to use into something that people actually want to use, something that people love using. And that is what the Built for Fit phase is all about. Don't forget, next week is going to be our retrospective, same time, same channel, and I will post those meeting minutes later today so you can add your feedback as we go. Thanks, everyone. I will see you later.
Thanks,
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
15 people
Cheers,
today.
everybody. Keep up the good work.
Growing.
Thank you very much.